you have been asking over and over and over, hey Niha, what are your favorite games? What are your favorite things to play? You say you're a player, like you play a lot of WoW, as you guys see me doing a lot of stuff on ESO. So I compiled a list of my favorite MMOs that I've played during my time as a gamer on this planet. So, without much further ado, my name is Niha Novacaine, and this is 5 of my favorite MMOs for the Daily Whizz. Starting at number 5 now, I will talk about Rift Online. Now, Rift is all the way back for me because it is somewhat of a WoW clone. Now, back in the day, I did not really sub to World of Warcraft. I always was very intrigued by World of Warcraft as a game, but I never understood the whole subbing thing, and subbing to play thing. And also, you know, I didn't exactly own a credit card when I was that young, and it wasn't working, or a debit card, or my parents wouldn't let me use theirs, because I come from a strict Indian background. Hey, I mean, I dress the way I do, but they didn't really want me to spend any money online, and, you know, just online payments were such a new thing for Indians at that time that my parents would never allow that. So, Rift Online is a WoW clone, but honestly, it was great. Their storyline was amazing. It was something that I really loved. I grew up on reading a lot of Tolkien's books and their fantasy, and we'll come to something later on about that, but I'm starting with Rift Online because it is something that I explored, and it's 100% free, making it an excellent, excellent game and an excellent alternative to WoW because, I mean, again, I explained this. So their base classes are very much just like any other MMO, warrior, cleric, rogue, etc, etc. And of course the mage. Subclasses are different, but you can additionally wander and do quests and stuff just like in World of Warcraft. So that is one game. The next one I will talk about is Guild Wars 2. Now, Guild Wars 2 is another game that I played I wasn't required to pay a subscription to play. It is a nice midway point, of the rotation system in World of Warcraft and the full-on action combat of, games that, some games that are not available, like Black Desert Online here. So that's definitely something that I love about this game. It is also very pretty to look at. The engine that they use is really, really beautiful. The world is beautiful, and the dialogue system for the story campaign is very visual novel-esque, and it is really a beautiful experience. Apart from the gameplay itself, story is something that I really, really, really enjoy. And thus, Guild Wars 2 is definitely up there with and thus, the Guild Wars 2 is up there with, some of my favorite MMOs of all time. Next up, I'm going to talk about Lord of the Rings Online. Now, Lord of the Rings Online is definitely something that, I always wanted to dabble in. I never got into it very early in the games because I didn't buy the game or play it. But later on, just for the fun of it, because I was such a big Tolkien fan, I decided to dabble in the game. It is definitely something that I wanted to explore more because, if you wanted to play like a sneaky burglar, like a hobbit burglar, or like a bow-wielding elven Legolas sort of character, this was it. You can make an elven character in this game. Oh man, and this is also a game where I learned about, shapeshifters and classes that I didn't exactly know about. Morphing, shapeshifting, all of that was new to me. A lot of these characters in D&D, like Dungeons and Dragons classes, all come from The Hobbit, and it's just... I'm sorry, not The Hobbit. I'm saying Lord of the Rings franchise and Tolkien's books. So it is definitely similar to World of Warcraft and Rift, like I said. Like, both of them are practically identical twins at this point, but they have a lot of cool things. Next one is my favorite game of all time, but it comes in second place because it is an old game. World of Warcraft is my favorite game of all time. Now, the story itself is something that had captivated me for the longest time. Since I was a kid, it was definitely one of the first reasons that I even wanted to play games. When I was walking around the streets looking for things to do after school, I saw this huge poster of World of Warcraft back in 2005. I guess 2005, 2006. I was just out of high school, and getting into like secondary high school, basically college. The first thing I saw was a Tyrande poster, and I fell in love with that woman. She was just everything to me. Tyrande Whisperwind was the character that made me want to play World of Warcraft. Unfortunately, you would require a subscription and a lot of money to play it, which is why I, eventually down the line played Rift Online. But I would keep up with the story, I would read up on it, and I was absolutely in love with the Sentinel of the Night Elves. I was so excited. Purple skin, athletic physique and hair and all that. And one day I was at this point I was a new cosplayer, but I wanted to be that person. And 10 years later 10 years later at BlizzCon 2015, I did get to fulfill my dream. I walked the BlizzCon stage as Master Tyrande from Heroes of the Storm, which is a MOBA that eventually was made by Blizzard. But hey, coming back to World of Warcraft, I love World of Warcraft, and I love the Sindori for the Horde, by the way. None of that Alliance stuff. My friend actually made a Philomalorn for me. It's right behind me. I don't know if you can see it. There, that's Philomalorn. Legion was announced in 2015 and released in 2016, my favorite year ever. And I enjoyed that expansion very much. But yeah, that's why WoW is my favorite game. And next up is Elder Scrolls Online. Yes, Elder Scrolls Online takes the cake. The game that was first launched in April 2014, it did not do so well then. After Skyrim, I was expecting a really cool game, but it turned out to be very, very gated, and a lot of leveling system and a lot of stuff was very difficult. And the 3 banner war was kind of odd. Before the 1 Tamriel update, it was virtually unplayable. So after 1 Tamriel, which means they changed it so that every faction can go around and do all their quests and do all that stuff, and also have any race, any faction, I think came around the same time. Housing was added. A lot of cool things are part of Elder Scrolls Online. Now, I'm a little biased because it was also one of my favorite games of all time. Like, I came from Oblivion and then Skyrim. Now, Skyrim was everything for me. I am such a geek. Well, I have Novacaine tattooed in Dovazul on my wrist, so I mean, that should explain everything. Elder Scrolls Online is definitely one up there, because eventually they did add expansions, like great expansions like Morrowind, which is like a splitting image and a nod to its previous game that released back in 2003. A lot of people play the game for nostalgia value and disappeared for a little while until Somerset was released. Somerset is beautiful. It remains my favorite expansion throughout, or chapter, as ESO players would put it, and ESO puts it, ZeniMax puts it. They have been continually adding to expansions and haven't gone wrong so far when it came to the storyline. I'm super excited for their next chapter that releases in June. It's called Elsewhere. Everybody has been wanting to go to Elsewhere because, I mean, come on. Who doesn't love Khajiit? Also, Razandar, I would love to see him again. Raz smells something, and it isn't moon sugar biscuits. I absolutely love Khajiit. And my favorite, I play an Altmer sorcerer, but they're new, and the long-awaited class is going to be added to the game, which is called Necromancer, and everybody is excited about it. Technically, it should have been there from the beginning, but hey, you know what? They better late than never, right? So let's just celebrate all these MMOs. They're not exactly in a descending order or anything, but I rated on how much I've enjoyed the game, and WoW is definitely up there. It's definitely one of my favorite games of all time, favorite stories of all time. I don't remember the last time I played World of Warcraft with my friends. A lot of my friends dipped out of the game, and shifted onto other games and moved on to other games, well, here I am, and I decided to move on to Elder Scrolls Online. So pretty much that's the list for today. Elder Scrolls Online is definitely the game I play the most at the moment, but I'm never going to forget World of Warcraft. I will always love World of Warcraft. I will always love that story because it's definitely my favorite. Well, that's it for now, and thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell for another episode of the Daily Whizz. This is Niha Novacaine signing out.